Well, Ethan, back today for a beer review. And what I got today is a beer that was given to me by Caleb. So thank you, Caleb. This is Chocolate Moon Pie Stout. Chocolate Moon Pie Stout. Trying to show you guys without a glare. This is out of the Naked River Brewing Company in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 64 IBUs, 8.5% alcohol. I've been to Chattanooga many times. He lives up in Chattanooga. So, yeah, he gave me this beer. I'm excited to try it on camera. Now, full disclosure, I have had it before. I drank the other ones in the 4-pack. But I'm going to, I have my feelings on it, but I'm going to reserve my comments for after I taste it on camera. So, let's get into it. It's an 87 on Beer Advocate, a very good. So pretty generous score from an otherwise stingy or conservatively rated website in Beer Advocate. Let's go ahead and get a pour. I think my glass is a little dusty. Now, this is something that I mentioned to him when he gave it to me, and he pointed out too, there's no head on this beer at all. It really looks like cola, like Coke, like Diet Coke or something. Very minimal head, and for an 8.5%, chocolate moon pie stout, not having a head is kind of weird. So the aroma is kind of a very faint chocolate, and when I say very faint, it's very faint for 8.5%. You do get some chocolate, not as much coffee with this one. You get a little of that toasted malt, kind of beer, traditional beer aroma. And from what I'm seeing online, the Naked River Brewing Company is a brew pub. So not only is it like a brewery, but they have food and other stuff and whatnot. It's like a pub type deal. So a lot of breweries around here is just strictly beer, not beer and food. So that's cool that it's both. You don't see that a lot around the Atlanta area. Let's go ahead and try it since there's literally no head on this. And I had this same kind of complaint with it when I tried it a couple weeks ago. And I told him, Caleb, about it. It's really watery and light and thin-bodied for an 8.5% stout. And you hate to say that about a beer that somebody gave to you, but hey, you got to be honest, right? It's just crazy to me that this is 8.5% alcohol because it tastes like Bud Light, but dark colored with malt, kind of toasted malt flavors. I didn't really care for it when I tried it a couple weeks ago, and I feel the same now. It's not bad. It's not bad by any means. I like beer, so I'm not that picky. I'll drink pretty much any beer, and I've never ever not finished a beer in my life, and that's the truth. That could be a good or bad thing, right? But this one's just not my favorite. And there are other kind of reviews on it on Beer Advocate that kind of say the same thing, kind of light, kind of thin-bodied, kind of watery. Well, more watery than what you would expect for such a high alcohol, chocolate stout. Usually stout implies heavy, full, thick body, thick, decadent dessert beer. Moon pie, chocolate stout, coffee, chocolate, rich toasted malt. And honestly, I'm a guy that actually I do really like light beer. Like my favorite beer is probably like Miller High Life and Coors Banquet. No joke. But I expect that when I drink a Coors or a Miller. When I drink a chocolate moon pie stout, I don't expect the same kind of body that you would get on a Coors Banquet or a Pabst Blue Ribbon. So it's just weird that 8.5% alcohol stout would have such a light, like almost Diet Coke like body and appearance. I mean, you can see how light this is. And trust me, it looks lighter to me than it looks to you on camera. I can see full color through it. I can see my hand through it. It's dark. It's dark red or even rust colored, which is really weird for an 8.5% stout. Again, like I've said many times, I feel like I'm repeating myself. It's not bad, but it's just not great for the style. I'm going to go, and I usually score pretty generously. I'm going to go B minus. You know, it's beer. I like beer. Someone who doesn't like beer would probably rate this a lot lower than I did. But since I do like beer, and yes, I'm biased because I like beer, so a B minus for me is low. To other people, that might not sound that bad, but I would rate a Bud Light a 90, if that tells you anything. But yeah, I'm going to have to go like 81 with this. Not great. It's drinkable. It's a decent beer. It's just not what you... It's not what really is advertised. You do get a little chocolate on the aroma and the flavor, but it's so thin and Coke-like. You know, that's really all I have to say on this one. Yeah, it's kind of nice trying different stuff, you know, stuff you don't like, stuff you do like, stuff that tastes kind of far left field or far right field. So, you know, it's fun to try different stuff. And, you know, Chattanooga has a lot of breweries, kind of like Atlanta does. You know, they got a lot of like young professional, working class there. So, you know, that kind of group kind of attracts the brewery kind of crowd, you know, kind of, you know, your mid 30s and maybe late 20s and, you know, early 40s kind of crowd. Cities that have a high population of that kind of group tend to have a lot of breweries. You know, if you got a lot of, you know, people over 50 living in your town, you probably aren't going to have as many breweries. So yeah, it's kind of a hipster thing, I guess you could say. It's kind of a bad word though. Yeah, 81 out of 100 will go for the chocolate moon pie stout. Again, not my favorite, not great, but hey, it's not bad. It's drinkable. It's it's a beer. I'll drink it. So yeah, cheers and thank you for watching. Please comment if you've tried this beer. Probably haven't unless you live in the Chattanooga area. It's a real regional, local brew pub. You know, I'm sure their distribution is not great. It would be a microbrewery, in other words. So yeah, I don't expect many people have tried this, but yeah, leave a comment. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers, and there will be more videos in the future.